Hi, everybody. Welcome to Gay XYZ.
Hey guys, isn't that song beautiful?
I like it. I really do.
It's really cool. Yeah, I
I
was
like it
at
too.
when I was in Chicago this weekend. Kim Chi, she's a popular drag queen up there. She performed that, and I was like, "What is this?" It's Say Lulu. I'm like obsessed with them. I listened to their whole album today.
I really liked it. I've never heard of them before.
Yeah, they're like super new onto the scene.
Are they
So it's
American?
I'd say it's like alternative, and they're with like a really small record label. So, but I think they got what it takes, and they are gorgeous girls, gorgeous,
They
gorgeous
are
girls.
a blonde and a brunette, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can see them. Yeah, they are pretty. Nice suggestion. I like that a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for listening to Gay XYZ. It's your host, Christian, Donovan, and Jason. I always try to say our names alphabetically. And we are coming at you from Dallas, Texas, because that's where we all live and we reside. And we want to say thanks for listening to the show. If you haven't heard of the show before, you can always find us on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time and on the website at gayxyz.com, also on Spreaker.com. So if you want to find out more about us, go to gayxyz.com, and you can. So tonight we're talking about several things, as usual, and we wanted to talk about, well, Christian, you actually had something specific you wanted to discuss first, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think tonight, as a main topic, I think one thing that's really interesting about our show is that we have the different point of views from each different generation. And one of the big things I've kind of noticed as I've grown up, and especially as technology has we've become a slave to technology, is how we communicate, and specifically dating wise. So for me, as a millennial person in my early 20s, I've kind of just been thrown into this world of like online dating and just like app dating, and that's kind of all it is. And like if you go out to bars or clubs or lounges or whatever it may be, nobody really approaches people anymore. People are so fearful of rejection, and they don't want to go up to somebody. So if they see a cute guy that they like, they go on there like Tinder or Grindr or Scruff or whatever it is to see if they're on there, to see, I guess, if they're single or, if they're open to communication. But, that's one thing I kind of wish that it was old school, because I feel like, I don't know, like online dating and like app dating to me is like so weird. I'm kind of shy, so like meeting a stranger on a date is like really weird. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like,
No,
how do you feel like it differs
I,
from how you guys grew up?
I can completely talk about that because when I grew up, because it was forever ago, because I'm so old, forever ago in the 90s. Before computers were really huge and you can communicate online and stuff. When I was 14 years old, I was on BBS's local bulletin boards, they were called. You could communicate that way. So I've actually been doing that ever since then. But we'd go out to the clubs usually to meet guys. Or through friends or whatever, but clubs. Right. And so when we go to the club, I'd be walking and somebody grab my ass, or someone would grab my crotch, or they'd say hi, or buy me a drink or whatever. So it was always like the typical, what you find when you go out. Usually in the old days, that's what would happen. So you were interested in someone, you would go up to them. And you'd ask for their number, and you get a little white card. You write your phone number with a pencil on it, and say, "Hey, call me," whatever. And now I think it's so true what you're saying, that people are so used and so comfortable to being behind a computer screen, whether it's their phone or their desktop, instead of actually connecting with people by actually going up to them and risking themselves. They don't have to anymore, and I think that really takes away from a real interaction. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think so too. What about you, Jason? Do you do like any online dating, Plenty of Fish, or anything like that?
I have. I currently have a Plenty of Fish profile up, but I rarely go to it. I mean, it's just, it is different because we are in the era of technology where everyone has, you go online and you meet someone instead of, doing it, back in the day like they used to do in person and that type of thing. So I think it takes away from the social aspect of it as far as meeting someone in person. Because, it's one of those things, like, I've been on dates to where, like, it seemed like I met someone and we had a lot to talk about online. But then once we met on person, it was like crickets chirping.
It's a different, you had textual chemistry.
Exactly.
It's a completely different. It's a completely different dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. So I do agree as well that it's definitely changed, and not in a good way, but that's the age of social media and online dating and all that.
Well, I also think that when you meet people, as you just said, the dynamic is different when you meet someone online and you talk to them that way versus in person. And you can have a great conversation and get along great online, and then you meet them in person, and like you said, it's crickets. And that is part of the negative side of it, because you get to know someone for who they are to some extent, but you can't get to know them 100% until you meet them, right, in the flesh. And I think that's such a big difference in actually meeting someone online, because, I mean, you never know what you're going to get online. So,
well, yeah, and like, a lot of times, somebody might have a profile picture from 5 years ago or 50 pounds ago or, whatever. It's so easy to like put up a false representation of yourself.
And I think that's what everybody does online, for the most part.
And then when you get put in that situation on a date, and you're like,
well, if you're dating,
it could be a sticky situation.
If you're dating and you do that, especially if you're dating and you do that, then it's not fair to the person that you meet to expect someone 50 pounds ago or 20 years ago, obviously. So that's not fair. But I don't know. I think, I met my husband on MySpace.
Throwback birthday.
Yeah. So, that was in 2007. It wasn't that long ago. It was the tail end of the era. But yeah, so I and that's how I met, and I think it's fine. I think you can meet someone for sure online. I just think that you have to take it from online to the real world. You can't just stay online all the time, obviously.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. You're going to tell your kids, well, it all started when Daddy liked my photo.
he was actually his friend said he was trying to get him to date again, and I was on Yahoo or something, I don't know. And he saw my picture on there. Then he saw me on MySpace. And she said, email him. And he's like, no, he's out of my league or something like that. I'm like, whatever. That's what he told me. I was like, I'm not out of your league. Anyway, so he goes, so he emails me, whatever. And then I'm like, you don't have a picture. Give me a picture. I was like really snappy and bitchy about it. Right. I was like, where's your picture? Right. And, because people they come to you and they're like, you've got a picture. You've got your whole fucking life on there. And they don't have a picture or anything.
Yeah, hello in return. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they need to do that. That's the other thing. But I think, also people today are very weary of, to some degree, just having a connection. Even after you meet someone, you've met them in person, sort of like Jason was talking about. I think sometimes because you're so comfortable online, I think your persona can be completely different in person. Mm-hmm. Don't you think? Mm-hmm. I mean, are either of you very different in person than you are online? I'm pretty much exactly the same, but are you any different, or what do you think?
I'm the same.
Yeah, so am I.
I mean, I'd say I'm the same. I have a bit more personality in person than I do online, just because sometimes online I have to kind of hold back a little bit.
You have a bit more personality in person? Is that what you
said? You're missing the facial expressions.
Oh yeah, the punctuation. Yes, okay.
The hand gestures, all that. But sometimes I have to hold back a little bit online from a business standpoint. But right. I always like to have a lot of energy in person, and
I don't like to censor myself. That's my thing. I've never liked to censor myself, and I'm exactly the same way in person as I am online. So people are like, one time actually, about 3 months ago or 2 months ago, I put online, okay, I'm going to do an experiment. It's July, actually. I'm going to do an experiment for a month, and then I'm going to see what happens if I say exactly what I think all the time for a month. And I did, and at the end of the month, I realized I already say exactly what I think all the time.
You're like, oh, I would already say this anyway.
Yeah, I was no different. And my friends are like, you're no different than you always are. I'm like, oh, okay. So anyway, no, but yeah, I think it's a good point though, Christian. I think people, it is different. People do date differently used to.
It's so weird because 5-6 years ago, it was so taboo to have a grinder, have any sort of kind of dating app. It was something you didn't really talk about.
No, imagine. Okay, yes, 5-6 years ago for you, but imagine the early days in the 90s when I was using it. People looked at you like you were fucking crazy from another planet. You met somebody online. I mean, it's like what? I mean, aren't they like a pedophile? I mean, you know what I mean? Right. In the 90s, people thought everybody who was online was like that or whatever. But yeah, it's true. That is true. But what about in terms of dating now versus before? Another thing I think is different is, at least in my perspective, is that you guys seem to not you guys personally, but your generations seem to not really value romance very much.
Agreed.
Yes,
for me, I mean, there's dating where you actually go on a date, you get to know someone, you try to romance someone, you try to fall in love, versus just going and having sex. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For gay guys, anyway.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of guys are jaded and kind of tarnished, and they kind of just have this. I don't know, like until you can break down the wall, they kind of don't give you a whole lot. You know what I mean? Because I feel like maybe they think. And if they're a serial dater, they don't date often or whatever. Maybe they think that this is just kind of another one until they prove otherwise. But I think that you should, have like a little bit of an opening to, be open to letting somebody in.
Well, everybody, that's the whole point, though, about if you're looking for love, and this is a point for anyone, if you're looking for love, you have to be vulnerable. You can't allow yourself to have a wall up and try to actually be in love with someone. It's not possible. Yeah. So I think maybe it's generational, too, though. I think your generation seems a lot more jaded than mine was. Mine was all about romance. Listen to the music in the 90s. It was all about love and falling in love. And then in 2000, it's like, shake that ass, shake that ass. It's like, it's like so different.
So, I know. Imagine what the next ones are going to be like.
Oh, no. It's going to be pornography on the road.
I can only imagine.
Oh, I know.
Pretty soon. Oh,
speaking of generation gaps, did you see that video I posted by any chance?
Yeah, I did see it.
Yes, that is hilarious.
A couple with the old, not older. I don't want to say older, but
old. Yeah, the old guy.
Older guy.
Yeah.
But they made the young 20 guy seem like a complete idiot.
Airhead. Well, that's how the thing is. I mean, it's not like he's